Hey guys, so we're going to continue this little exercise that I started yesterday, where I gave you guys an opportunity to pick your squads and the squads that you would like to see for the different formats. We did the World Cup squads yesterday, and you guys came up with some excellent squads and reasons for the plays that you selected. And today we're going to move on and we're going to do the test squads and ask you guys to put your test squads in the live chat because we do face India at the end of this year. It's a big series and one that I think South Africa do need to win, just purely to get some to indicate where we are moving towards and to show some progress under Shukri Conrad. So let's get straight into today's show and chat about this. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to share your squads with me in the live chat. But before we get going, before we get started, please subscribe to the magazine. It's 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. This particular issue that is on the screen right now is a season review, an insight into last season. Some coaches, some players gave their thoughts about the season before and looking a little bit ahead at the next season. We are working on the next issue currently as we speak, so we're trying to get it out by the end of this month. So please go and subscribe. You'll get a notification, an email notification when the latest issue is available for you guys to download. What I also like you guys to do is please subscribe to the channel if you're new and click that notification bell for all future videos. It's very important that you do so. That's how you'll get notified for all the content when we go live immediately on the show. Also, smash the like button for me. Yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. I'm looking forward to discussing this topic with you guys. Good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And today we're going to be continuing the little exercise that I started yesterday, where I give you guys, as the fans, an opportunity to share your squads and your favorite players in the live chat. Who the guys that you think should be in the test squad, and particularly in the India series that's coming, and who you guys would favor and who you guys think should be the players that are selected by the coach. Now, this is just obviously an opinion based show where you guys can share your thoughts and your opinions on this particular matter, because I think it's also very nice to see what you guys have to say and where you guys are at when it comes to this particular topics. So, like I did yesterday, I shared with you guys some of the I shared with you guys some of the um, stats when it comes to the players and their performances in Test cricket over the last 2 years. Now, I'm going to do something very, very well. I'm going to do basically the same thing to give you guys an indication of who the top performers were over the last 2 seasons or 2 years. Um, and as you can see on the screen over here, from 25 July 2021 till 25 July 2023, Pavuma's on top of the list with 12 matches and 900 runs at an average of 45 and 105 50s. Dean Alger is next on the list with 799 runs in 15 matches, an average of 28.53, which is not usual for him. He normally does average quite high, 650s and no centuries in that period. Keegan Peterson in 9 matches, 552. Strike rate of 50. Okay, strike rate is not that important, but at the average of 32 and 450s. Then Carl Verreynne is on this list as well, 12 matches, 533 runs, 31 average, and 102 50s. Sarel Ewe is on this list as well. Aiden Markram's on this list. Keshav Maharaj is on this list. Marcus Janssen. So I was just ranking the batters in order, basically from the most runs scored over the last 2 years. We could take it actually further back and actually look at the results from the beginning of the year. It will obviously give us. We can do it over 3 years actually in Test cricket to give us a better indication, really of the performances, but also from the start of that year. So let's just do the last 3 years and see how that changes the results with regards to this. As you can see, like I was mentioning, okay, so Dean Alger 21 matches, 1,258 runs, 1,258 runs, 34 average, and 109 50s. Temba Bavuma second on that list, um, with average of 46, 1,152 runs, 107 50s. Aiden Markram is third on that list with 861. So as you can see, it doesn't change the things too much. I mean, still the top 10 is still the top 10. So it's not really like skewing it too much when it comes to that. But I think taking it over that period is a nice period as well because it includes the beginning of the year and that South African summer as well. With regards to the bowlers, I'm not really going to get into that too much. I think that obviously we know who the bowlers will be that really um, dominated throughout this time. We've obviously got Rabada on the top, 67 wickets in 13 matches. Marco Janssen is next on that list, 44 wickets in 11 matches. Keshav Maharaj, a very important player for us, 13 matches, 29 wickets. Anik Nokia is then 7 matches, 23 wickets. And Simon Harmer, 5 matches, 19 wickets. And then Gidi on that list as well, someone we spoke about even in the white ball arena, also on this list. So, yeah, KG Rabada, Marco Janssen, Keshav Maharaj, and Anik Nokia have been our best bowlers by a long shot. Simon Harmer and Ngidi haven't had as many matches as them, but in this period. But it's clear to see who our best bowler is when it comes to Test cricket. So the job of this particular show is obviously to get your guys' opinions, see what you guys have to say, and then bring those comments and discuss it with all of you guys. So Lawrence, once again, first in the live chat with his team. For his batters, he says Algar, Markram, Tony De Zorzi, Bavuma, Rickelton, Klaassen, Calvarena, and Bretsky. That those are his batters. In his all-rounders position, he has Janssen. In his spin department, it's Harmer and Kesh. And then bowling department, KG, Norkia, Kutsia, and Ngidi. Harsh on KP, but I would give Bretsky a go to be in and around the squad. KP not in the best of spaces at the moment. A full domestic season won't do him any harm. Tony De Zorzi, Rickelton already ahead of him now. So when it comes to Keegan, like you saw on the list that he's quite high up over there, but he hasn't been in the best of seasons because his season has been quite disrupted with injuries and COVID and all of those type of things that happened in the past. He was really just when he got his foot into international cricket and got some momentum, he got COVID, then he got injured and etc. So it has been a difficult time for him playing for South Africa. He has moved franchises. He's now at Boland. Um, so moving from the Dolphins, so he's now at Boland for the new season. So that will give him a different challenge, different conditions to play at. So let's see how he performs there, back in his hometown, in his home city, and let's see how he performs for Paul. I mean, a good season with his family at home, being here, all of those type of things might give him that boost that he needs to push himself into more into better form. When it comes to KP, I do think that um, that number five spot is probably where I'll see him now fight for. And I think there's a couple of players that are fighting for that position currently. Uh, if things with Cash doesn't work out, I think it's time we give Sabrain a go, being the leading wicket taker spinner the past 2 seasons. And I don't think Sen is ahead of him in SA conditions, says Lawrence Bailey. You see, when you look at last season, though, or the last 2 seasons at least, Sen hasn't been bowling in spinner friendly conditions almost every week like Brian has. So that also works in Brian's favor, bowling in those conditions. And the Dolphins weren't shy of when it came to preparing wickets that suited them and playing in those conditions. So um, it's a lot less spinner friendly there in Northwest where he was playing center run. So I don't know if it's a fair judgment on players on center run and his spinning ability. We saw what he did in Sri Lanka for Sri Lanka against Sri Lanka A. Um, Tabo says, is there any way we can fit Klaasen and Verena in the same 11? I really do like Klaasen as a test player, but as a specialist batter. Um, it is, I mean, it's possible, but whether having two keepers in the team is a good idea, um, I don't know. Because you also have Ryan Rickleton as a backup keeper if you want to keep him within the mix. Um, so then you're going to have three keepers within the team, um, which I mean does that it doesn't. I mean that's not really necessary. I would say, but to fit Klaasen and Verena as one as a batter and one as the wicket keeper, I mean it is possible. It's not impossible. Um, so yeah, Kelly says I would not play Verena and Klaasen in the same 11. To be honest, you can if you play the seven batters: Alga, Markram, to Tony, Dizozi, Pavuma, Rix, Klaasen, Kavrani. Yeah, it's possible to do so. Kelly says if Rix is keeping, Klaasen can play as a batter. Wakas George says I would build fresh new test team around Markram. Says Stubbs, Ryan, and Brevis. But I mean, Brevis has barely played 4-day cricket, so like it's a bit premature to start pushing him into the test team already. Um, he needs to play more 4-day cricket, I think, for the Titans before we start speaking about him in those at those levels. I think Stubbs yes, and Ryan Rickleton yes, because they've had good seasons last season. So I think Stubbs is a little bit further ahead when it comes to 4-day cricket than Deva Brevis at the moment. Tabu's asking why. Um, this is the time we can build our future test team. Calvarino was unfairly dropped since the new coach came in and even lost his contract. Even if we don't win a lot of games, says Wakas. Tabo Gama, they won't both fit within the top six, in my opinion. Not if you have Markram, Alga, Tony Rizzozi, Temba, Rix and Klaasen, Verena covering 5 and 6. Shukri seems to prefer 7 for all rounders. Um, so based on what I'm understanding from what Kelly has said over there is that you're running out of spots available basically to play 7 batters, to play Kyle and Klaasen if you're going to have an all round at 7, which is just simple maths. At least we can again gain some experience. Is Waka still continuing from his previous point? Gamas, he still has age on his side, to be fair. Keegan did well in the final test for SAA, didn't kick on though. And he hasn't kicked on in any long format cricket he's played for his country. Um, SAA didn't do it. For SA, he hasn't done it yet. We're still waiting for him to convert into a massive 100. But if you look at his stats in general with regards to domestic cricket, Keegan's conversion rate isn't necessarily um, out of this world. He scores a lot of 50s and scores big hundreds, yes. But there are certain batters that are scoring more hundreds and 50s or on a similar level. I'm converting pretty well as well. But Keegan's experience and Keegan's ability to stay at the crease and really be tough to break down is what makes him a really great batter as well. But also his stroke play to be able to put that ball through the covers is also really good. We don't have all rounders if we are honest with ourselves. Sen actually had a fantastic tour of Sri Lanka, which is true. If the wickets are quite slow again this season, he might not be a bad shout. Dex says our test squad is very weak. I tend to disagree. Mutasami would be great if we are going to play test in Asia. Alga, Aiden, Van Tonda, Bavuma, Bedingham, Klaassen, Ryan, Jansen, KG, and Anas is Gorav's squad and Kutsia. Um, Lawrence says, not discrediting Sen at all. I was one of the very few who supported him when he got bashed for his selection against West Indies. But I ever think in SA conditions, Brennan is the better pick at the moment, says Lawrence. Um, Zubi also started playing with a bit of freedom, coming in at 5 for SAA, I think. So that's another option. So we can look at the. I mean, we've spoken about it a lot on the show already. That I feel, and I've given my opinion on many occasions, that I feel that there are two spots basically that I think are up for grabs in the test side that are not 100% solidified. That is the number 7 position, and that is the number 5 position. Bayes Swanepoel put in a great performance with the bat in the white ball arena, but didn't really get much opportunity. Didn't really show his ability in the 1 4-day game that he played with the bat. Um, he's kind of the all-rounder that was one of the good ones this season in domestic cricket, but mainly because of his bowling and his swing bowling. He's not the quickest though, but he does have the ability to move the ball both ways. Marco Janssen is another person that is really impressed, I think, with bat and with ball. As you can see on the list that I showed you early on, he makes it on the list for both. So he has been quite impressive, and he's another person that that could be in the running for that 8 or 7 position for South Africa. And Senator Mutasami, of course, showed he had a very good Sri Lanka tour with bat and ball. So there is a, I still think there's a possibility for him to get more opportunities in South African colours. Um, but there are question marks over 7 and 5. No one has put up their hand and said, "You look here, this is my position. I'm taking this and making it my own." So when we look at things, the SAA tour was supposed to be the tour that kind of cleared that up a bit, that gave us some clarity on that matter. And the person that stood up was Tristan Stubbs, who I think is another shoe in that could possibly also play in that 5 position, even though I think 4 is better for him. I do think that he could bat at 5 too. I mean, Test cricket is a little bit different. You don't necessarily. I think that top 5 is a bit flexible. I mean, uh, you don't have to be necessarily a specific type of player for that top 5. Maybe 6 and 7, you need to maybe have the ability to be able to kick on and take a game away from players. But I think players with good techniques can really fit that 5 and a 5 position. Um, um, Bedingham probably needs a season in SA domestic cricket. I actually agree with that. He was injured last season, so Yeah, I actually agree with that. England had the issue with Butler and Bairstow a few years ago, and they did play them together, and it worked until one of them lost form. Um, Ikram's team is Alga, Markram, De Zorzi, Bavuma, Verreina, Rickelton, Janssen, Rabada, Nokia, Gerald, and Maharaj. It's a good team, actually. Dex says our test batting is very weak apart from Temba and Aiden. Nobody knows how to score big and convert 50s to big hundreds. Now, Dean used to be that guy for us, but he's also gone through a little bit of a dip. And maybe in a couple of years, we're going to have to replace him as well. So that's something to think about. Who, in your opinion, would be the pick at 5 and 7, 6-5 split in mind? I'm going with Rix and Janssen. I'd like to see Tristan Stubbs get a go, to be honest with you. I would like to see Tristan in the team, to be honest with you, be given an opportunity. But if you're talking about from the last test series, um, then I'd give Keegan um, one more opportunity, I guess. Um, and if it doesn't come right in the series against India, because the last time that we played against India, he was really good on our own pitches. So I'd give him another go at 5. And then if it doesn't come right, then maybe we have to think about rebuilding for the next generation, because seeing the way things are going, we're probably going to get this a fresh team in the new year against New Zealand, with Proteas probably missing because of the SA20. So yeah, there are a few unsettled positions with new players in experience at test level. It's something we're still trying to find the right players for certain position, which is true. Tristan batted at 3 in test, which was quite high. Yep. For now, how long have we been doing that? Well, to be honest, Dex, I can answer that. We haven't really been doing that. We haven't really been giving players proper opportunities that really have that have massive ceiling, or young players. We haven't given young players an opportunity in a very long time. We've been trusting experienced players that can maybe fill a gap for 1 or 2 years, but we haven't had a prolonged plan or a proper plan for the future until Shukri Conrad came in. He's gone through this. He's looked at all the players, and he's handpicked players that he believes is good enough. Um, and it also so happens to be that they are also young too, so that they have age on their side. So he's picked the players that he believes are the. He was brave enough to pick players regardless of their age, and looked at if they were good enough, and then picked them, and never really put emphasis on their age or experience, like previous coaches said, like the captain said beforehand. I mean, Dean was caught in a press, not caught, but he said in a press conference before, that they want to give the older heads an opportunity, or the older guys an opportunity, that have been playing for a long period of time in domestic cricket, and done the hard yards. Um, he comes from that, so I think he wanted to do the same for others. Whereas we had an opportunity to see quite quickly some newer guys on the blocks that have impressed, like Tony DeZorzi, Ryan Rickelton. Um, Marco Janssen has been embedded into the side very, very quickly. Gerald Kutsia was given an opportunity. So, and Senator Mutasami, more opportunities as well. In the From the sporadic opportunities he got before that. So I think the coach has been quite brave, and with regards to that, and giving players opportunities, um, based on performances, and whether he believes they are good enough or not. Zubair Hamza at 5 is what Wakas says. I actually think Alvarena can do a very good job at 5, been fantastic for VP up the order. That's another option as well. We also have to remember, guys, we have that. we have also have the numbers issue that we have to think about with regards to selecting players of color. It's still not going to go away, so it's still there when it comes to selection. Is Dean Algo time coming to an end? Are back Tony to replace him and find another number three? That also is another option for the future. Do people not want Klassen in Test cricket? Um, well, Klassen had a great domestic season, and he didn't only have a good domestic season, but he also batted at quite a decent strike rate as well, quite quickly, quite aggressively in Test cricket. And when the coach picked him initially, I'd never agreed with the selection. I wanted Carl Verreynne to be selected, and it's well known on this channel that I've said that before. But I could understand the selection of Klaassen because of that, because of his ability to be able to turn it on, take a game away from the opposition when he's in form and when he's firing. But in his opportunity so far against the West Indies, which is only one test, I mean, two tests. We never really got an opportunity to see him do that. We never really got an opportunity for him to see him do what he did in domestic cricket. So is it fair to give a player opportunities and then let's take it away from them if they don't perform? I don't think so. But we also need to look at the player in detail and see what caused the issues if they did have any issues. So the details need to be looked at closely. I'm not a technician or a hectic or coach to be able to identify that fully. Um, but we're going to have to wait and see also what the coach will do now going forward. I mean, this India series is going to reveal a lot about this team and the squad and the thinking from the coaches, which is going to be a telling tale for the rest of the for the new year, for the rest of the season and ahead for that year, because I mean the test series ends at the beginning of the year next year. The series against India ends at the beginning of the year next year. So January it will be done with the New Year's test, and then we're going to have to plan for the future. Then it's New Zealand and other teams that we're also going to be facing. We need some attacking players in our line up. Enough of the nudges and flickers. Look at Australia and England. Look at Mitch Marsh scored that hittingly 100 against all odds. Kelly says it isn't a question of time. We haven't played that much Test cricket. The number of fixtures available is comparatively low. It's very true. Lawrence says that Klaassen is 100% in my Test side, deserves it as well, being a consistent performer for the Titans in 4-day format. However, wasn't great against West Indies, but I'll give him another go. Yeah, I think it's ludicrous for us to just drop players left, right, and center. But at the end of the day, it's not really our decisions to say that. It's obviously the coach that's going to make that decisions based on what he believes is right for the team. But obviously, this is a fan channel where fans want to give their opinions. Um, that's what this is for, of course. So yeah, as Lawrence says, he doesn't believe that he would give him another go ultimately. My Indian friends told me that their A side is coming to South Africa for a tour in November, for an A tour in November. Is this true, and when will it be announced? I won't be able to tell you that, whether it is true or not, and when it's going to be announced. We generally will just get a press release telling us that it's going to happen or not going to happen. But we can try to find out. Um, can't just drop a player after one series, says Lawrence. My only concern regarding Klaassen and Rick stemming from the West Indies series is they both were quite loose, says Kelly. Um, Steiger, I want him in the test team, says Tabo. We play very little tests, so whichever player comes in has to perform. That's also a good point. We don't really have a chance to bet in players because we play such little tests. So the coach doesn't really have a lot of time to actually see these guys at the highest level playing. So These players have to basically just come in and perform from the from game one. It makes things very difficult when it comes to planning. But I believe that the coaching staff is good enough to be able to handle that and analyze the players in the correct manner to make those decisions. Mat 92 squad is Richards, Tezorzi, Bedingham, Rickleton, Bavuma, Verreina, Janssen, Harmer, Kutsia, Rabada, and Nokia. Yeah, now Bedingham, big fan of his, of course, but I do believe that um, he needs a domestic season in South Africa before he gets an opportunity. I think um, because he missed the whole of last season's domestic season. But with the desperation that we have at the moment, and if we don't have our Proteas available next year against New Zealand, then Bedingham stands a massive chance. But at least he'll then have a domestic season under his belt almost before that series against New Zealand. He's very exciting batsman. I will give Klaasen a run. What an innings he played last night. Yeah, brilliant innings that he played last night in the MLC as well. Congratulations to that to Klaasen there. Definitely not comparable to playing Test cricket. Klaasen threw his wicket away in all four of the innings he batted against West Indies. Never really took time to settle at the crease. Wanted to get after the bowling straight away. Want to see him against India. He's also a very good player against spin, so we'd like to see that as well. India series will be a test for our test team to see where our players stand. 100%. Klaasen's 100 at MLC. Klaasen at 6, in my opinion, with Verreina at 7 and Ryan Rickleton or Bedingham. Oh, so Klaasen at 6, in my opinion, with Verreina at 7 and Ryan Rickleton or Bedingham. Oh, at 5. Sorry, I didn't. My bad. Um, so batting with 7 players, having 7 batters in the team. Asking for a lot from our bowlers to be able to take all the 20 wickets. India are winning the series. I don't have faith in South African team. Unfortunately, people said the same thing at the last series against India, and we ended up winning that one. So, yeah. Kelly, I'm tired of boring cricket. Klaasen is the player we need in Test cricket. Brzezinski is surely ahead of Bedingham in the queue unless Bedingham starts next season incredibly well. And also, I mean, yeah, Tristan 100 in Sri Lanka. Brzezinski is also an option. He slipped my mind. I mean, Brzezinski's. I'm a big fan of Brzezinski. I think mainly because of his mentality. Besides his ability with the bat, so his mentality and his hunger to be the best is something that I've picked up in his character. So it's something that I always I always what's the word I'm looking for? Praise in a player when it comes to any players in any sport. The mental game is so important, especially in Test cricket as well. Parentington's county form should be taken into account as well ahead of players, says Matt. Um, yeah, I mean, it should be taken into account, but also local, especially if you're playing local cricket in South Africa, um, that should be taken into account as well if you're going to select for a local tour. Klaasen was trying to get too aggressive in 4 innings he played. Lawrence, Kelly, Khalid, will we see Janneman in the Proteas jersey ever again? Um, I believe that Janneman has what it takes to revive his opportunity or revive his chances. It's going to be a very important season at Boland for him this season. He's going to really have to um, show what he's capable of, put on the runs in all formats next season to really start to revive his opportunity and put his name back in the mix, because there are a lot of youngsters knocking on the door coming through the system that are competing for positions that he would be competing for as well. The big test scores have dried up in domestic and international. Very rare that a player scores 200 plus scores nowadays. T20 cricket has made players lazy, said Ashkai. Tabo Klaasen is already there. It isn't boring to actually value your wicket and set a platform against India. You has to be patient. He's good versus spin, but um, can't afford to be a cavalier. Look, the thing is, he needs to. He must realize that in Test cricket, he does have time to set himself and get his eye in, and then he can go gunzo. Um, Majority of the time, I'm hoping that when Klaasen comes to the crease, there's a set batter there waiting for him. So that can give him the opportunity to just take it easy and calm down. And he doesn't need to rush things. I know that he wants to play with an attacking mindset and he wants to go out there with that mentality, but he also needs to read the conditions as well and see whether that's conducive um, to the style and to the mentality. Cricket is a game that will always catch you out. Um, it's not a game that should be taken for granted, ever. I don't believe. So, especially Test cricket is not a format that you can take for granted. So, yeah, I would like to see him steady himself, and because he's a really talented batter and he can really turn things on. But I think he should build his innings and then play that attacking brand because he can still take the game away from the opposition. TDC struggles in Sri Lanka. I would go as far as to say that Warren's being dropped, but he might need to work on a few things before facing India or touring Asia. I don't think your performances in the SAA team should be reasons for you to get dropped in the South African team. Um, we don't actually know what went down with regards to his performances in Sri Lanka because obviously we didn't get to watch the games, so we couldn't really see what hassled him or what the issues were. Uh, so I'm gonna take it from the last series against West Indies, and there is some stuff that he needs to work on with his game, particularly in international cricket. But I'm pretty confident that the coaches and the coaching staff will work with him and bring the best out of him and help him to replicate what he put on in the domestic season. I'd argue with both Richards and Eddie Moore are ahead of Bedingham at the moment for that opening slot. Herman too, yeah, but Bedingham won't open, so yeah, you'll Bedingham will probably bat in that 5 slot. Um, Not every player gets to play county cricket. It's not going to be a player versus player measurement, playing in a similar conditions. Not yet for Jordan. Second season is usually a challenge for most guys. Yes, it is. The conditions in England is much tougher, especially with the Duke ball. Also, he's one of the most experienced batters who has scored runs consistently, but he's not going to face those conditions in South Africa. So, if Bedingham had a great season in domestic cricket and he wasn't injured last season, then by all means, I would say go ahead, go with it. But I would like to see him get. I mean, there's no reason to rush him in right now against India when we have some players that need to get an opportunity. So when you look at the timeline and you look at the time that you'll get now this season, you'll be able to play some domestic cricket, 4-day cricket before that next series that we play after India. So it's enough time for him to work his way into the South African team. Um, Wasn't injured for basically the whole season last year. Yeah, I don't know. He needs to play, learn more, smarter controlled aggression and smart cricket. Um, it's just one season. He scored runs consistently in SA as well before. We need to understand that good performances in county or domestic cricket should not be the only criteria as quality of players in most country team is average. More SAA tours should be organized. Yes, they should be organized, and we need to look at that's the only metric we have to judge players at the moment. So we have to take that into account. Vishal's team or squad he wanted to reveal is the Zorzi, Markram, Joshua Richards, Temba, Hamza, Rickleton, Klaassen, Janssen, Maharaj, KG, Nokia, reserve is Biletsky, Kutsia, and Gideon Harmer. You know, Joshua Richards as well. I think he needs another season domestically to show his consistency. Um, Giving people a whole lot of players an opportunity after one good season isn't I don't think that's the way to go. Um, Especially when you have guys that can get a prolonged run within the squad at the moment. Here's a question: how likely are we to see some surprises squads? Huh? Here's a question: how likely are we to see some surprises in the squad? Oh, some surprises squad wise versus India. Oops. I think with New Zealand series, we'll almost certain have a brand new squad. So maybe they'll wait for that series to experiment. Um, I don't think we'll see too many surprises against India. To be honest, I think that the coach would probably keep some consistency going, but we'll have to ask him. Um, what's the story with Lewis deployed? Does he want to play for England? Well, he's registered to play for England according to the SA20 list last season. He was registered as an England player, not as a South African, on the list of in the draft, in the auction. Sorry, most of the fans teams here has Alga missing in the list. Are we looking at Alga signing off this year? It's a possibility. Whether it's probable is I'm not sure. Very So we play very fast tests. So which player plays has to perform. No, it harsh, but that's what the I don't know what you're saying, bro. Um, you're right. Amla is the last SA batsman to score a double hundred against England in 2016. So it had been a long time, and our batters have become lazy. I mean, Faf got close with the 199. Dex Shukri likes Birmingham. Um, says Dex. Um, on that point, it was quite interesting that Stubbs was the most comfortable in Sri Lankan conditions despite having missed most of the first class fixtures for the Warriors. Um, looked better as a tour, but on looked better on tour. Oh, wait, I'm not reading this part. Brzeski looked better as tour went on, but Herman struggled, and they were our top first class batters last season. We play very few tests, so whichever player plays has to perform. I know it's harsh on them. Oh, we play very few tests, so whichever player plays has to perform. It's harsh on them. They do. There's no other choice but them to perform immediately. That's why I need them. I would love them to put for to make available to us, give us more tests, give us more opportunities to play test cricket, and more SIA tours if that is not possible, so that these players can really get more time playing the longest format, because we don't play enough 4-day games either. I think we need to play more 4-day games as well. Um, so that's another aspect that we need to think about. You think Reinhard van Tonda should be tried in the test squad? He didn't have the best of seasons at the Knights, so he's moved now to a new challenge at Northwest. So hopefully he can put on a good performance. I'm a big fan of Reina Fantonda. His mental toughness and his ability to bat for long hours is something that I admire. And I think that he needs a right support structure, a good environment, because I don't think he had that at the Knights. So I think he needs a good environment, a good structure, and let's see, and a coach that backs him, and then we see how he performs. Um, let's see what type of season he can have this season, and then we can start talking about that. Does Sky Zonda still have a future in Test cricket? Um, I don't think so. I don't think so. He hasn't necessarily put on great performances when he's got given the chance. I think we should play against teams like Zim, etc. It's not big test, but it will be practice for players. We just need to play more SA tours, more 4-day cricket in general. And when it comes to under 19 players, bringing back that under 23 Colts week or 3-day competition that we used to have, that yeah, the 3-day what was it called? The 3-day cup or something. I don't know. We used to have this 3-day competition where the younger players would play in that competition. I think we need to bring that back as well, because then our players will be able to get used to um, that red ball a lot sooner and be able to play yeah, the 3-day under 19 provincial series, as Kelly mentioned over here. So yeah, we need to bring that back again, which is in the talks apparently. The cult series, yes, says Lawrence. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you for sharing all your thoughts with me and being very active in the live chat. I really enjoy the shows where you guys are very active in the live chat. So please keep it up and bring it to me over and over again, because I really like to communicate with you guys and see what you guys have to say. Please subscribe if you're new and click that notification bell for all future videos. But also download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. So don't forget to do that before before I sign off. Um, Thanks. You're getting up for the bro. I got up for the Wrexham game as well, because I wanted to see how under 21s play, and then the ref gave a red card in the first minutes of the second half and spoiled the whole game. So we didn't really get to see our youngsters play properly in action. So yeah, I got up for that, and I'm getting up for the Madrid game as well. Definitely. But guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Um, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow for another daily show. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace out.